I decided to do my comparison over The Fault in Our Stars. So this is the book that John Green wrote, which later inspired the movie to be produced by Josh Bourne. And so I remember that this is the first book that I've ever read in one day, which is kind of funny for some people, but I was just never a big reader, so this was really important to me. And it was New York Times bestseller, which definitely makes sense for this author. His works are so amazing, and teenagers just eat them up. And it's kind of funny because it's just about teenagers, but there's just a lot of darkness in the book, but I mean, it's still a really great book. And so this is the movie that was inspired by the book, and definitely makes sense. It was such a great book. And I just want to go off the record and say that I almost hate watching movies that were based on books just because of the idea that I already have of the characters, and how the characters might not like be portrayed in the actual movie, because in my head the main characters did not look anything like they did, so that kind of already threw me off. But the movie still pretty closely went with the book, I would say, but nothing was completely botched up or anything like that. And it took home the Teen's Choice Award, which definitely makes sense. And there were so many categories of this award that this movie took home, which again completely makes sense because this movie was really great and definitely marketable to teens. As I was saying before, there is definitely some differences, and one of them that I first noticed was Caitlin. There was no Caitlin in the movie, and in the book, Caitlin was Hazel's best friend and was just another person that was in Hazel's life and played a huge role. She knew about Gus and was a big reason on why Hazel, still went out and everything. And the next one that I noticed was Hazel and Isaac, because in the book, Hazel went and visited Isaac right after his eye surgery, and they had a heart-to-heart conversation, and it just really added to their relationship. And in the movie, they don't even have that scene, so it just took away from their relationship, I think, because that was the first time that I really saw Hazel and Isaac together, having a heart-to-heart and just being vulnerable with each other. And then the next thing that I noticed was Gus's fight with his mother. In the book, Gus and his mom fight right before he leaves with Hazel and her mother, and this kind of foreshadows, it definitely foreshadows the return of his cancer, and it lets the readers know that, hey, something's up. And in the movie, they didn't even have that scene, which completely took away from the foreshadowing effect. And I think if you were to watch the movie, you would have never known that it was going to come back. But as a reader, you had that little doubt, like, oh my gosh, I think this means something. And the next thing that I saw was the I love you. In the book, Gus tells Hazel that he loves her in the plane, and it's that super romantic scene where he says, I love you. It's like a shout into the void, and everybody memorized that line because it was so romantic. And in the movie, he tells her over some pasta, and it completely ruined. And the last major thing that I noticed was Gus's death. And after he dies, a lot of people take to Facebook and to social media and saying that I loved him so much, I'm so sad, like blah blah blah. And Hazel is furious in the book. She is just furious, furious. And in the movie, they again don't even have that scene. And to a lot of people, it might have been mundane and it didn't really mean anything. But I think that this really showed another level of Hazel that we didn't really see. And it also is really relatable to teenagers because we've all been in that situation when someone passes away and social media blows up with the I love yous and I'm sorries, and we all reflect on, if you would have just told them that, then you wouldn't be in this situation and it wouldn't be so awkward. And so I think it's just really a relatable to have had just in the movie. I think it would have done a lot for the movie, and I think teenagers would have definitely viewed it in a different way, and they would have gotten just a tad bit more out of it than all of the great things that they had already gotten out of the movie and the book.
created using Powtoon.